Good morning, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and metalheads of the internet, to a brand new and slightly different episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today, we aren't really talking about metal. We're talking about a vital, substantial, important piece of the music industry itself. We're talking about Spotify, and more specifically, just how bad it sucks right now. And fair warning, in the process of having this conversation, we are going to get a little bit political. No, not political! Anything but political! Oh! Calm down, Thrash and Jackson. We're only gonna get, a little bit political. It's not that much at all. It's gonna be an appropriate amount of getting political. No preachy shit, no weird shit. An appropriate, respectful amount of political related to the conversation at hand. It's an important conversation. Come on, Thrash and Jackson, what do you say? No! La 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 la, can't hear you! Can't see you neither! And if I can't see you, you can't hurt me! If it's good enough for ostriches, it's good enough for me! Well, alright, Thrash and Jackson, so be it, I guess, but if that's really how you feel, then maybe instead of complaining, you should leave. Now. If you want to stick your head in the sand and pretend that nothing matters and nothing ever will matter, fine, go for it. That's your business, not mine. I don't care. But if you expect me to bite my tongue in order to make you more comfortable, in order to make you more safe and happy, in order to appease you, ain't gonna happen. Get fucked. Tough titties. Fuck you. And fuck Spotify. Hey, that's the title of the video. Wow! Where's the confetti? Chompy, you were supposed to launch confetti! Alright, so, for those of you who don't know, there are a lot of valid reasons to criticize and not love and want to give money to Spotify, many of which we'll discuss here today. But I want to start with the most recent chain of events, which has inspired a variety of different bands and projects to remove their music entirely from Spotify, including the likes of Deerhoof, Hotline TNT, Shoo Shoo, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and Godspeed You Black Emperor. Initially, for a brief period, there were some rumblings online that perhaps this exodus of sorts was related to Spotify and censorship, and oh no, Spotify censored the artwork of my favorite brutal death metal gore grind band / album, and that's why all of these artists are leaving the platform. At least that was what some people on the Metal Meltdown Discord were thinking and saying aloud. And with all due respect to these people, that is very obviously not the case. Because first off, why the fuck would Deerhoof and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard care about this kind of shit? And second, and this is not a defense of Spotify at all, do not twist my words, but it is remarkably, scarily easy to understand why a major corporation, a multi-billion-dollar streaming platform, would not want hyper-violent, gory imagery on said platform. It's weird I even have to point that out. This ain't a new thing either. Carcass way back in the day had to modify and edit and basically redo the album covers for Reek of Putrefaction and Symphonies of Sickness. And then there's the parental advisory stickers and the PMRC, and to this day, even pop songs are forced to make edits to their songs because, oh no, there's a swear word or whatever the fuck. This ain't a new thing. This definitely is not why people are leaving Spotify. No, the real issue here is Spotify's CEO and his love of AI and his hatred of living children. As Digital Music News reports, European defense tech startup Helsing has announced raising 600 million euros, or nearly $690 million USD, in a new round of funding. The investment was led by Prima Materia, the venture capital firm founded by Spotify CEO Daniel Ek, who is also chairman of Helsing. Now, Helsing, for those of you who don't know, are a European defense startup who use artificial intelligence to build and enhance military equipment and weaponry. Their specialty right now being strike and battle drones, but they've also invested money and resources into aircraft, armored vehicles, AI infrastructure, the list goes on and on. And this is something that all of the artists we mentioned earlier in the video are deeply uncomfortable with. Hence why they removed their music from the platform over the course of the past few weeks. As Deerhoof vocalist and drummer Greg Saunier says in conversation with the Los Angeles Times, every time someone listens to our music on Spotify, does that mean another dollar siphoned off to make all that we've seen in Gaza more frequent and profitable? It didn't take us long to decide as a band that if Daniel Ek is going harder on AI warfare, we should get off Spotify. It's not even that big of a sacrifice in our case. And look, I think this is commendable. It's brave. It's bold. This is a big risk to take your music off of the #1 streaming service, especially because this means that tons and tons and tons of loyal fans and even casual listeners can no longer get to your music. And the reality is, in 2025, accessibility and convenience are the two driving factors in how people do anything and everything nowadays. Like, you can listen to Spotify for free with ads any time of day on your phone, on your Xbox or wherever the shit, on your laptop, on any device that's connected to the internet. You can't really carry a record player everywhere. And Lord knows people don't carry fucking, Walkmans and CD players with them everywhere anymore. But the upside here is that Deerhoof and a lot of these bands, Godspeed You Black Emperor, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, like, they're big bands with big followings and, all that, but they're also just niche enough and their fan bases are just dedicated enough that they can risk the hit. Like, their fans will more than likely just go buy the albums and whatever, it's fine. But because these artists are just small and niche enough, there is this idea that what they're doing won't ultimately matter. Spotify isn't going to change anything. Daniel Ek isn't going to change anything. They're going to continue investing in all the things that they invest in. They're going to continue being shitty. And that's true. But for the record, it wouldn't matter if they were big name artists, because Spotify very consistently stands their ground and very successfully has done a good job at calling out bluffs. Back in 2022, the likes of Neil Young and Joni Mitchell threatened to remove their music from Spotify in protest of Spotify's embrace of Joe Rogan and his podcast, arguing that Joe Rogan and Spotify were platforming dangerous COVID misinformation. And Spotify said, "Lol K, go for it. I don't give a shit. Go for it." They just straight up did not care. And honestly, why would they? Joe Rogan had the #1 podcast on that platform. He was making millions of dollars for the platform. A few years later, Joe Rogan would go on to sign a $250 million deal with Spotify, and eventually Neil Young and Joni Mitchell caved and put their music back on Spotify. So yeah, sorry to be a bummer, but if multi-platinum, Grammy award-winning Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees Neil Young and Joni Mitchell have no sway over Spotify, then it stands to reason that Deerhoof, King Gizzard, and Godspeed won't have any either. But still, commendable, brave, bold. And it's worth noting that this has all been bubbling up for quite some time. It turns out there's a lot of valid reason to not like Spotify. Spotify is well known at this point for being the #1 platform where your favorite artist does not make money. The payment per singular stream of a singular song is estimated to be about 0.003 cents or 0.005 cents, within that ballpark. Not even a full cent, not even really a solid substantial fraction of a cent. Spotify also uses a pro rata payout system. pooling all revenue together and dividing it by the total number of streams on the platform. This means a portion of your Spotify subscription funds music that you've potentially never even listened to. And on top of all of this, Spotify also invests a lot of money in ghost artists, in AI artists and producers, and in AI content to fill up playlists and to divert attention away from real art made by real people. And in this process, Spotify can collect more money for themselves, and they can avoid paying royalties and stream payouts to real artists. And on top of manufacturing their own AI music, Spotify doesn't do anything about AI music that is already existing on the platform. Case in point, The Velvet Sundown. As of this recording, they have 3 full-length studio albums on Spotify, all produced and released this year, and they have nearly 500,000 monthly listeners and have racked up millions upon millions and millions of streams. And because of the pro rata payout system, and because Spotify loves AI, this is money that is going to a singular greedy few as opposed to real artists making real music. I'm realizing too, it's creating this continuous cycle where Spotify allows AI music on their platform and manufactures AI music for their platform, and they make money off of all this AI music and content, and then they use that money to invest in more AI. It sucks. I hate it. Also, it's bad for the environment. It's bad for the world. On top of the fact that AI music requires no talent, no skill, no creativity whatsoever. It's derivative. It's bordering on plagiarism 99% of the goddamn time. It's also killing the fucking planet. And this isn't an opinion. It's a full-blown fucking fact.
I can't live in my home with half of my home functioning and no water, and I can't drink the water.
Just 400 meters away from Beverly Morris's home in rural Georgia, Meta, Instagram and Facebook's parent company, has built a giant data center. A private well is Beverly's only source of water. But since construction began on the data center, the well water has turned murky. The sediment you see, that's from her taps. And she says it wasn't there before.
The water won't come through the water lines to fill the toilet tank, so I have to fill it with a bucket of water. It's plugged with sediment.
Beverly believes the construction is to blame, but Meta denies this.
No one should have to be afraid to drink their water. Not in this day, not in this age.
Meta says it commissioned an independent study that found its data center operation had not adversely affected groundwater conditions in the area. But Beverly just isn't convinced.
Meta is a $1 trillion industry, and they're huge. To me, it's like David and Goliath.
Data centers like this are being built around the world, especially in Georgia, one of the fastest growing data center hubs in the US. They power AI tools like ChatGPT and require a lot of water to stay cool.
These are the gas turbines fueling the supercomputer they call Colossus. They emit hazardous pollutants like formaldehyde and nitrogen oxides, according to the manufacturer.
Just over this fence, you can see and hear the turbines churning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Without them, the data center does not function. What's not in dispute is the fact that they are polluting the air. What people don't know is how much of that pollution is reaching nearby communities.
Easter Knox lives 2 miles away.
You smelled it
Yes, Lord.
right away?
I sure did. Well, after they got situated, I started smelling it.
Knox lives in Boxtown, a mostly black, low-income neighborhood in South Memphis.
There's a lot of people out here got medical problems like breathing issues.
Cancer risks here are 4 times higher than the national average. Cancer killed her father and other relatives, Knox tells us. Life expectancy here is 9 years less than the national average.
Do we actually realise the impact of these wildly realistic AI videos? Because we're being warned that generative AI is accelerating the climate crisis. We've already heard that AI chatbots could use a bottle of water to write the average 100-word response, and that saying please and thank you to ChatGPT costs OpenAI millions of dollars in electricity. Receiving the data, storing it, training the AI models, and then responding to us uses massive amounts of energy.
AI does not live in the virtual reality. It doesn't live on the cloud. It lives isn't a physical data center that requires physical resources to run it.
Just keeping the servers cool enough to function requires huge water systems or electrics like aircon. And the thing is, data centers can't be built anywhere in the world, like Iceland where it's colder. They have to be built in places that aren't prone to natural disasters, attract investment, are around reliable energy sources with people to hire and a good water supply, which then clusters these centers and risks deforestation, land use change, a strain on resources and materials.
In a place called Querétaro in central Mexico, where pressure on local water supplies have led to issues like drought.
So when you look at these incredibly detailed video generation models like Google VO3, surely the environmental impacts are even worse.
The more complex the application, the more computing power it would be required as a result, and therefore the more energy intensive it would be.
Now, Johnny Hawkins, the lead singer of Nothing More, recently said something to the effect of AI music isn't a threat to good artists, only shit ones. And I do kind of understand what he's trying to say here. Like, realistically, if you are talented and creative and you're putting your heart out there and working hard and making high quality music that resonates with people, then, you know, why would you be intimidated by like a fucking crappy derivative AI rock or pop song made by some fucking schmuck who's never picked up a guitar in their life? Like, I get what he's saying from like a creative standpoint, but like with the amount of time and money and resources being put into generating AI content that Spotify is manufacturing to prevent paying you royalties, to drive attention away from your music, like, at a certain point, you should at least be concerned. Like, the money that you should be getting for the stuff that you made for the platform, that you need, by the way, to pay your rent, to pay your mortgage, to buy groceries, to send Johnny Hawkins Jr. off to summer camp, that's not going to you. It's going back to Spotify, who are using it to invest in more AI content and also AI military tech that will kill people. But what do we do, Mr. Meltdown? Great question. I don't have an answer, though. I don't know. Genuinely, I don't fucking know. Because we know from experience that there's really no amount of pressure we can apply to the platform that will ultimately convince them to pay artists fairly and also stop investing in things that will poison the planet, kill children, and make objectively bad art and content. And because of this, I don't really see any point in sitting here demanding that you stop using Spotify. I don't see any point in demanding a musician to remove their music from Spotify immediately, or else they're a phony or a poser or whatever the fuck. As we discussed earlier, Spotify is convenient and accessible, and for that reason alone, it will very likely always be a very popular streaming platform. But also, if you are a musician, it is probably one of the easiest ways to really get your music out there for people to listen to. So, like, I get it. And frankly, the answer isn't as simple as just switching to another streaming service, because while Spotify is, like, objectively the worst, there isn't really an ethical, safe, non-exploitative alternative to Spotify either. At least not like out of like the super big guns of the streaming world. Maybe there's some smaller service or app or whatever that is useful. I think Bandcamp's pretty safe, all things considered, but whatever. You get the point though. I think the best way to go right now is to just continue supporting these bands outside of streaming as much as possible. If they put out a new album, buy it on vinyl, CD, cassette. Buy the digital version off of the aforementioned Bandcamp, whatever. But buy it. Like, actually buy it. And buy merchandise. And support what they do. And go see them when they're on fucking tour. And you should continue to have these conversations whenever you can. Because they're important. It's important that you understand where the money that you make eventually goes. And also, when possible, apply pressure on people in positions of power who have the ability to facilitate real, genuine change. For example, United States Representative Rashida Tlaib is planning to reintroduce her Living Wage for Musicians Act next month on September 29th in Congress. As MusicAlly.com writes, it would create a new artist compensation royalty fund through an additional subscription fee for music services, an amount equal to 50% of the subscription fee charged by the service provider, as well as a 10% levy on non-subscription revenues. This would then be distributed directly to featured and non-featured artists based on their share of streams, but with a cap of 1 million streams for each track in a given month. The stated goal is to pay artists a minimum of a penny per stream without that money going through rights holders first. More money going directly to the artists that you love and support on the streaming service and platform of your choice. This bill and initiative has the direct support of the United Musicians and Allied Workers Union, who are also trying to drum up support before the bill is reintroduced in Congress on September 29th later this year. So I would recommend, if you are a citizen of the United States, irregardless of your party affiliation, that you call your local congressman or woman and you fucking tell them, pass that fucking bill. My favorite band deserves to pay their fucking rent. And yeah, it very likely will not prevent Spotify from continuing to invest in AI, military, tech, and content, but at least it means that more money is going to the artists instead of directly to Spotify, who again will use it for AI, military, tech, and content, which will kill people and poison the planet and also make objectively bad, lazy, terrible, derivative music, if you can even call it that. That's it for me, I guess. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I love you. I am going to take a drink, though, because I just know this comment section gonna be nasty. It gonna be dumb as fuck, because as we all know, the single worst thing you can do as a metalhead, as someone who exists within the metal scene, as a musician, as a producer, as a content creator, as just a fan, is be political. That's the number one crime you can commit as a metal person is be political, which means the comments are going to be just stupid. Just so stupid. Oh God, cheers. Oh man! Sub slime, other buttons, fuck Spotify. Have a great day.